Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Sean Holko, alongside my guy, Mr. Kaz Johnson of Kazzy Bear TV. Jaevon Toddy should be joining us soon, and Kevin Dent is out sick tonight, so we hope he gets well very soon. Kaz, how are we doing tonight? Well, you're muted right now, though, so the people can't hear you.
My bad. I ain't doing too bad. I'm just chilling, just got done watching the Cowboys Bengals game, obviously, and yeah, I don't have to wake up super early tomorrow, so that's good for me because I've been tired of this 6 a.m., 7 a.m. crap I've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Well, we appreciate you so much for joining us every Monday night, considering that and the fact that you are in Iowa 2 hours later than all of us. And so we appreciate you very much. Glad that you got a bit of a reprieve from those early mornings. And here we are for episode number 127 of Stats Over Politics. Kaz, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it as the Chiefs beat the Chargers 19-17 on Sunday Night Football. As Mike Tirico put it on the broadcast, it was the doink for the division as the Chiefs' third kicker from this year ends up banking in the game-winning field goal to give the Chiefs the win and also the division crown. If they had lost, the Chargers still would have had a shot, but yet the Chiefs everything seems to bounce their way. And so rather than focusing on the game in itself, which was a good one, it was a good back and forth game in an AFC West battle. I just wanted to ask you, first and foremost, is this sustainable for the Chiefs? Because the Chiefs are great. They have like a 11-1 record, something like that, really good. And
12-1 now.
Or 12-1 now. Thank you.
Now,
yeah. I had just right as the words came out of my mouth, I was thinking to myself, wait, no, this is week 14. So yeah, 12-1. Thank you for correcting me. And so they've gotten this far with only one loss, in it being on the road in Buffalo against the Bills. But is this sustainable for the Chiefs? Because I don't mean to keep bringing up the Eagles of last year every week, like to be petty or anything, but just to use it for contrast. Like they started 10-1, but during those first 11 games, they were sneaking by, and then they kind of crumbled towards the end of the season. I don't know if that necessarily would be the case for the Chiefs. As we see, they were still able to get this close win against a good Chargers team, but I don't know if I think this is personally sustainable for them to be doing this every week going into the playoffs, but having Patrick Mahomes gives them the best chance to do so. So what did you think of this Sunday Night Football game and the Chiefs' long-term sustainability if they keep squeaking by in this manner?
I'm not worried about it. I think that you mentioned the Eagles last year, how we started off 10-1 and we plummeted and ended up not even winning our division, and then first round flopping in the playoffs. The only difference is the fact they have Mahomes and Andy Reid compared to Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. As much as I do love Hurts, even when he doesn't do what I would like him to do every week, I got a lot of faith in that guy because he is a guy that I've seen him do a lot of amazing things. And I know what his potential is. When it comes to Patrick Mahomes, there's undeniable just evidence that doesn't matter the situation, they're going to do what they've always done. And this is a weird season. This is a season where they've been heavily favored or been helped out a lot by the refs. But even take away the refs, guys, like let's not pretend like the Chiefs didn't have potential to have this record anyways. Whether they didn't lose Hollywood Brown, didn't lose Rashee Rice, didn't lose Pacheco for quite a few weeks, will we sit there and say that we'd be surprised if these Chiefs were 11 or 12-1 without the refs' help and they're playing really well? I mean, everybody's talking about how the Chiefs, they're just getting by. But it's like, at the end of the day, a win's a win, and that matters the most. A lot of teams play good teams very, very hard, and we just saw that with Philadelphia going against the Panthers. We had plenty of opportunities to put that game away. We didn't, and I think that we got to take our hats off to Carolina and also Bryce Young for literally like outplaying Jalen Hurts. When it comes to the Chiefs, I think that they're more dangerous than ever, actually. They got their one loss. So guess what? They got that out of the bag. It's done. It's out of the way because that takes on a lot of pressure when it comes to being an undefeated team. It's like, when does that one loss come if it does come? Are we going to be the whatever Miami Dolphins from the 70s or whatever? Are we gonna do it and win every game and not lose? That takes on a lot of just unnecessary, like just it puts on a lot of unnecessary weight on your team and everything. That's your whole identity until you lose. So they got the loss out of the bag and they ended up winning what? Three straight, and it was against the Panthers. Obviously, the Panthers squeaked by, the Raiders squeaked by, and the Chargers squeaked by. At the end of the day, like, we got to remember the Chiefs still just got Pacheco back not too long ago. Okay, they still don't have Rashee Rice, and they still don't have they got DeAndre Hopkins. But you know what? Before they got DeAndre Hopkins, people were all out on DeAndre Hopkins. People were saying stuff like he needs to retire, he's done, he's washed. So we can't just look at the name DeAndre Hopkins and go, oh, well, they got DeAndre Hopkins. Well, he's not DeAndre Hopkins from 6 years ago, or is he? We don't really know. But at the end of the day, the Chiefs are winning. Even though that they're facing extreme adversities. If you were to take any other team, take San Fran, for instance, look what happened when you lost your aces, right? Immediate turnaround. You guys lost CFP for the entire season for the most part. Okay. Pretty much. Okay. Went from being in the Super Bowl to probably not going to make the playoffs. We don't even know yet. Okay. Just to the playoffs. All right. You lose Brandon Ayuk early in the season, right? Look at the Chiefs.
Yep.
Rice. Can we say that they're both very equivalent? So that just comes to show that the Chiefs are very well coached. Patrick Mahomes is that guy. And even though, yes, the refs do help them quite a bit, they still are winning games, and that's all that matters. And I said earlier that they're more dangerous than ever because what's going to happen when they have a complete game? Are they going to go all the way through the rest of the season, the playoffs, without playing a dominant complete game? I don't think so. Every team has their day. Even the Browns have had their day. The Jacksonville Jaguars has had their day. The Panthers have had their day. You think the Chiefs are going to have their day one day? And it hasn't happened yet. I think that we should watch out for the Chiefs personally. I think that the Chiefs, come playoff time, given no more injuries, they're going to figure some things out. And the thing about the Chiefs, the big asterisk is Andy Reid. Is he doesn't play one way all through it. That guy will play a certain way throughout the rest of the season, and all of a sudden switch things up right in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, your scouting report doesn't even matter. Now you got guys like Juju Smith-Schuster going off for 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns out of nowhere. No, you can't scout that. You know what I mean? Or you got, maybe who's their third-string running back now since Kareem Hunt got signed? What's his name? White guy.
The white dude? Yeah. Carson Steele.
Thank you, Carson Steele. Can we not foresee a Carson Steele 2-touchdown, 80-yard game for no reason out of nowhere? You see what I'm saying? So the Chiefs, we still don't know what the true identity is, but I guarantee you this, it's not going to be worse than what we're seeing. And if it's not going to be worse than what we're seeing, we're looking at a team that is sitting at 12-1 right now. I would definitely fear the Chiefs in the playoffs or any game moving forward, 100%.
Yeah, in the playoffs, I'm always afraid of the Chiefs simply because of Patrick Mahomes. Even thinking back to last year when the Chiefs were struggling and everyone was saying, oh, the Chiefs dynasty is over, blah, 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 blah. They have no chance to repeat. Then they obviously did. But even last year, I was afraid of the Chiefs because they had Patrick Mahomes. And to get back to what you were saying about a win is a win, I understand that. But also, 2 of the 3 teams that you mentioned in those last 3 games, like it's a little suspect. Yes, Carolina is showing that they have improved a lot, as we saw against the Chiefs, as we saw this week against your Eagles. But to squeak by Carolina and Los Angeles, that's a win that if you win by half a point, doesn't matter, you win. But those other 2 games, I expected them to win by more. But ultimately, like you said, a win is a win. And when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins, that's the Will Levis effect. Everyone said that DeAndre Hopkins was washed, and it's because of the man that puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Will Levis has done that to Calvin Ridley, and he did it to DeAndre Hopkins. And so now, as much as I hate the Chiefs, just given the fact that they've beaten my team in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 5 years, I'm happy for DeAndre Hopkins finding a new home and getting this last little bit of a swan song of his career. Who knows how long he'll be with the Chiefs, 2 to 3 years. But the thing about the Chiefs this year is that it's their defense, just like the Eagles. It's their defense that's getting it done versus knowing them to be an offensive-led team. And so I'm always going to be afraid of the Chiefs when the playoffs come. But as far as the regular season goes, yes, they're 12-1. But squeaking by those lowly teams, I just expect them to do better. But ultimately, I'm a fan of a 6-7 team, and the Chiefs are 12-1 because I think that was a great parallel that you gave just between the injuries that the Chiefs have dealt with and the injuries that the 49ers have dealt with. Yes, we see a third-string guy like Isaac Guerrero, a rookie running back, coming in and making a huge impact in the stat sheet yesterday for the 49ers, but that was against the Bears. Carson Steele, he would be just as likely of making a big impact as Kareem Hunt, as Isaiah Pacheco. And so I guess I'm kind of arguing against myself here. I think it's just the hater in my heart that's just trying to point something out with the Chiefs. Like, oh, they're squeaking by. But, ultimately, they're still as dangerous as ever. And so the thing about this game that was really interesting is that the Chiefs, they got out to a 13-0 lead at halftime, and then the Chargers stormed back in that third quarter to take the lead 14-13 and trade field goals at the end. And I saw something on Twitter where it was like the Chiefs have to have like bodies buried under that field because how are they just having so much good luck aside from the refs helping them out? How are they having so much good luck, especially with a doink like that? I mean, Chicago Bears fans are just saying, why not us? But another great win for the Chiefs.
And I'll also mention this too, like in reference to the game outside of just the Chiefs just being who they are. But I mean, I think that if like my roommate, he's a Chargers fan, and he's been screaming since the beginning of time, like all season long, this is a rebuild. Yes, we're playing well, but this is a rebuild, this is a rebuild, this is a rebuild. And you look at the Chiefs or the Chargers offense, they didn't have J.K. Dobbins this game, so you got Gus Edwards, and God, who knows who the other running back is. You got Will Dissly, who also got banged up in this game a little bit too. You got Quentin Johnston and Joshua Palmer, who Palmer didn't have a bad game, but all in all, it's like the Chiefs went toe to toe with the Chargers. If the Chargers had like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams instead of who they got right now, and also they were without Lad McConkey too. They win this game big time. The Chargers are better than the Chiefs right now. They just are lacking in the depth of the roster. They don't have the roster. That's it. But that's the reason why the game was as close as it was, because the Chargers actually do have a really good defense, and their offense, if they had more weapons, they can make more things happen. So it's a division game. Division games are always close. It's just the way that it is. It doesn't matter who your team is. We've seen Cleveland beat Baltimore, and we've seen Cleveland. Also, I can't remember who else they beat too. That was like weird. They took us to like a 3-point game, 3-4-point game. So like that just happens. And at this point of the season, you got to understand that, like, yeah, the Chiefs are squeaking by, but they just squeaked by this week against a really good team that's also probably going to make the playoffs. The Chargers, if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to be the 7th seed. 100%. Yeah, because there's no other strong teams in the AFC right now outside of the division winners, and even the Ravens are kind of pissing away right now. So we'll find out at the very end.
I agree, and I totally understand the skepticism and the pessimism from your roommate to feel that way about the Chargers, that they're in a rebuilding year. But man, if I was him, I'd be so elated that I got Jim Harbaugh as the head coach now, because he is just a bona fide winner, and he changed the culture like instantly. And the craziest part about that is, as we're about to get to the next team that we're going to talk about in depth, and I'm not talking about the 49ers here, but I'm talking about the 49ers absolutely dismantling the Bears. And the thing about the Bears that's relevant to this discussion is, according to some reports that just came out, Jim Harbaugh wanted to coach the Bears, and the Bears didn't necessarily jump all over that opportunity. Matt Eberflus is kept around. Matt Eberflus then gets fired after Thanksgiving, and it's a head scratcher, and the Chargers and their fans should be very thankful for getting Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Now joining us, none other than Mr. Jaevon Toddy. Toddy, do you have anything you would like to add about the Chiefs and Chargers game?
I had money on this game. Surprise.
Pain.
Chargers money line was the play.
Oh.
A lot of people. My friend, who's my boy Juan, he watches the show. He's a guy that's
a little festive.
He said I cursed the Chargers for picking them in the pick'ems. He's like, "Don't pick the Chargers. You're cursed. Why would you do?" I was like, "How am I cursed?" Because 2 out of the 3 times I picked them, they won. The only time that they lost, I forget which game that was. No, because they won against the Bengals and they won against.
It was probably the other Chiefs game in LA, right?
No, because that game I took the spread in that game. That game was 7.5. I vividly remember that game. It's funny how gamblers remember games.
Yeah,
I remember that game. But I thought Herbert missed a bunch of throws. Not a bunch, but he missed some really key throws in this game. He was under pressure, I thought, a lot in this game. Josh Palmer was wide ass open. Like,
that deep shot,
wide ass open on that deep shot, and he kind of had to step up into the throw, which was kind of crazy. It didn't even.
It was a clean pocket too.
Yeah, it didn't look like he needed to step up into the throw. Like, he kind of could have just flicked it. That's how talented Justin Herbert actually is, and a lot of people kind of forget. He doesn't really have to put on his cape and play Superman the entire time. I mean, the Chiefs, Mahomes was under pressure the entire time in this game. He was, under duress a lot. I thought DeAndre Hopkins played really well in this game. He was really their only target that was making things happen besides Travis Kelce, who was there when you need him. That's kind of usually when Mahomes and Kelce hook up, is late in games when you need it, the game being on the line. And when the Chargers didn't score in the red zone on their final position, I just knew. And I saw a tweet. John Ewing tweeted, "Oh, Chiefs are minus 120. Minus 120, and they're down with less than a minute left on that final drive." And it was like they're still favored down with a minute left. That's how crazy it is when you're, Patrick Mahomes. And Vegas just knew. I'm like, hey, Mahomes is going to drive down in any which way possible. I think they did get a couple of calls on that last drive kind of, go their way. And it's kind of just what sums up what the Chiefs season has been when the kick literally doinks in. Like usually when the kick doinks, it usually goes like away from, like, I don't know how the trajectory or whatever, the black magic, the Chiefs black magic was on full display last night. And it's been on display the entire season, really. How many one-score games have they won? I think they're undefeated in all their one-score games. The game that they lost, they got the shit kicked out of them. But, I mean, pretty much all their other games have been one-score games for the most part.
Yeah, I feel like at least probably 10 of 12 of their wins have been in one-score games, or at least single digits. And so that kind of just is a testament to the Chiefs and their success. I can only think of, off the top of my head, one other doink that went in, and it was another game earlier this season. But other than that, and I can't even tell you exactly which game it was. If I bet on it like Toddy, then I probably could tell you the exact moment. But I vaguely recall that there was one other doink that actually went in this year. But other than that, I can't really remember too many that were very recent. And so I guess it's the Chiefs' black magic, as you said. And Kaz, did you want to? It looked like you wanted to say something real quick.
Oh, just to kind of, Toddy said he lost some money on this game. God, I got to go ahead and brag for a second, but also smack myself in the face.
Oh,
so obviously we know W's mean win and L's mean losses.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
This is my weekly picks.
Bringing a little bit closer to the camera. My 2020 vision is letting me down. Is that all W's? Holy moly! Damn.
Now this one I'm gonna smack myself. So I called every game correct this week.
And you did it
every week. I put $1 on my weekly predictions just in case. It always flips to about $800 if you call them correct, which is rare. 16 games in a week. Regular season, or no bye weeks. Maybe sometimes 14 games. This was a 13 game week. And I woke up late and I didn't put my parlay in. Yep. That's an easy at least $800. I'm talking the lowest I've ever seen it be is $800. Sometimes it's like $1,100-$1,200 depending. But I called every game correct, and I sat there and I tweeted. Actually, I go, holy shit! Afternoon games. I'm like, damn, I'm 100% so far. I saw the way the afternoon games were panning out. I'm like, are you fucking me? I'm about to call every afternoon game too. And then there was a night game, and I called that. I'm like, the Bengals are gonna win tomorrow, and I'm gonna hit every fucking game this week for my predictions. And I didn't put a single buck on it because at the end of the season, you think about it. We have 17 games in the season, right? 18 weeks. Mm-hmm. At the end of the season, put $1 on a 13, 14, sometimes 16 leg parlay. I'm out $18 at the end of the year. That's not even non-existent. I don't notice that. And I forgot. And you know what's even crazier, which I'm going to smack myself? It's the second time since I've been doing my weekly prediction videos, 4 years, that I've called 1 week 100% correct. And the first time I did it, same thing. I did not bet.
Oh,
I bet.
Do we gotta start setting reminders, or do I call Kaz in the morning just to make sure?
No, here's the thing, Toddy. Here's the thing, Toddy. I've only not bet twice. Both times were both the times that I called every game. I swear to God, I bet $1 every week.
Doing it the night before because it's just like.
What are the odds of me? What are the odds of me hitting the game? They're gonna be like nothing.
Exactly.
I call every game correct.
Exactly.
It sucks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep, I called every game this week, and you guys obviously have been keeping up with the, posting our picks. You can see every game correct.
Hey, if you follow Kaz's picks, you would have been Kaz put $1 on. There's some degenerates out there who's gonna put 100.
Someone on my TikTok, I don't know if someone on my TikTok left a comment saying like, man, he said something about to 10 stacks, something like that. I'm like, did you actually use my picks and make 10 stacks, or he said you won 10 stacks just in general? He didn't respond to the comment. I'm like, I swear to God, if you want 10 stacks off of my picks, I gotta get like about.
You out here feeding the homeless.
Like man, I'm
out here ending the world hungry. You don't even know it.
So now I gotta somehow, some way in the next few weeks call every game. We'll see what happens again.
Man, that's absolute pain. That reminds me of last week when I'm in a pick'em league. Aside from our stats over politics picks each week, I'm in a pick'em. And the difference in the pick'em versus our pick'em is that with ours, it's just straight up based on the outcome of the game. In my pick'em league, it's based on against the spread. And last week I went 13-1 over 14 games. The only one I got wrong is I picked the Texans with the points, or Texans against the points.
Yeah,
and they did not even come close to covering against the Jaguars. And so, yeah, I'm not much of a bettor anymore, but if I actually hit on all 14, I would have been feeling the exact same way as you, Kaz. I'm just thankful that I had one wrong, because that was definitely my thought process with every parlay that I ever had. Is I didn't want to just get one pick wrong. I wanted to get two, and like, just so it wasn't just one pick away. And like, that's how I was feeling with my picks, where I was like, okay, at least I wasn't 14-0 and didn't bet it. And Kaz, that's just nothing but pain. I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, I won't do it again for a long time.
Yeah, that's just absolute pain. Jaevon would sum it up with two words. That is a cold world right there.
Cold world.
It's a very cold world. And so now keep things moving here on episode 127 of Stats Over Politics. Sean Holko alongside Jaevon, Toddy, and Kaz Johnson. Guys, now let's get to the other game that we're going to highlight in full this week, and that is Jaevon and I's favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers, breaking their 3-game losing streak and beating the Bears 38-13. Toddy, this had to be a bit bittersweet for you, because you saw your favorite team get the win and break their losing streak, but they had to absolutely smack your I don't know, what should we call the Bears? They're not your NFC team, because that's the 49ers, but what how would you describe your relationship with the Bears, and what did you think of this game overall?
Well, yeah, it was bittersweet. I kind of knew we were going to beat the shit out of the Bears, just given everything going on. Thanksgiving, they got a lot of turnover going on and just turmoil. And apparently there was a rumor saying that our coach was going to get traded to the Bears. I didn't see anything like that. And obviously Shanahan came out and said, yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. That's nonsense. But I'm still a little meek over the win. I get it. We won in convincing fashion. I'm not one of those Niner fans that's going to come out and say, Niners are back. We're back, guys. We run the NFC again. Remember, see what we just did? I'm like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. You know, there's a couple Niner fans that I saw that were posting saying that we're back. And I said, are we back? Are we? I don't even know if we're the little engine that could anymore. I'm kind of just like, a couple wheels fell off the train tracks, like the engine needs to get repaired. We're in the shop right now.
Yeah, they got one wheel left right now.
I mean, Talanoa Hufanga came back. He looked good. Isaac Guerrero looked very, very good. Our guy Manny, he's been on the show a couple of times, picked up Isaac Guerrero in our fantasy league and did not play him. Sent him a few choice words via text message about his acquisition of Mr. Guerrero. And I knew he would play good. He's already hurt, which is great. After in his
he said it was precautionary. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, in his post game, he said that he'd be all right to play. So we'll see where that is. But I mean, Jawan Jennings, the week I just fell asleep at the wheel and just don't start him in fantasy, obviously goes off for 2 touchdowns. He's good for a couple of those throughout the year. We decided to get the ball to George Kittle. He voiced his opinions after, I believe it was the Bills game last week. He was saying, yeah, like I didn't get the ball. Well, I think good things happen when we throw George Kittle the ball. So that's pretty good. As far as the team goes, I don't know, man. I just saw us get penis slapped 2 weeks in a row, one by the Packers, the next by the Bills. Both cold weather games, snowy-ish games. I get it, but Niners had a bunch of opportunities in that Bills game. It could have been a 1-score game if, you know, Kyle Juszczyk doesn't fumble at the 1-yard line. We got the Rams on Thursday night. I mean, this is a game, must-win game. Niners 6-7.
Must win.
Niners 6-7, Rams 7-7. McVay's already giving us bulletin board material. Let's go beat the fucking Niners. This is you got to prove it to me. You got to show me. I mean, God, we don't have any running backs. You know how paper thin our running back room is right now. It's a mess. Dre Greenlaw is supposed to be coming back, so we'll see what version of him. I mean, he's been recovering from his Achilles injury, but once upon a time, him and Fred Warner were the best linebacker duo in the NFL. We'll see how effective he can be moving forward. I mean, Puka Nacua just went off, so we'll see where he didn't play in the first game. I don't think. I think it was just. I don't even think Cooper Kupp played. He might have played.
Not yet. I think that Puka missed that game and Cooper played, but that was also the game that the 49ers were missing like a handful of guys too. That was like what, week 2?
Yeah, so I mean, in this game as well, I thought Brock played well. Defense looked pretty good. The Bears didn't really show anything. I thought Rome Odunze played well. Caleb didn't play well in this game. Still pretty high on him. Kind of just want to put on the season for the Bears.
Top 15?
Once upon a time, I did say he was top
15. Once upon a time. Oh, okay, we're walking that back officially. Got it. Okay.
He's not right now. He will be, but right now, no. The Bears are going to bear, I guess. Is this what that is? I mean, last year they were 7-10, and now a lot of regression. Eberflus obviously gone. They fired Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown, I think he was like the pass game coordinator. Now he's the interim head coach. So, I mean, just a lot of turnover going on. I even saw something about Keenan Allen. They asked him if he wanted to come back, and he said it was between him going back to the Chargers or going to the Bears. I don't know if the Bears are showing him anything that would make him want to resign as of right now. Maybe I feel like it would depend on who they get as a coach, but all signs point to him probably end up leaving in the offseason. Is there enough balls to go around between those three guys? And yeah, I mean, the Bears are just they gotta figure it out. They play on Monday night against the Vikings. That should be interesting. Vikings are on a roll right now, but the Niners and the Bears, I feel like, are one team is coming off a Super Bowl hangover, injuries. The Bears are just, I mean, they had a lot of talent. You could argue organization plays a huge role in their front office plays a huge role in, their success and what determines their outcome of them winning football games. And before I even came on, I heard Shaun was talking about the Bears, or Jim Harbaugh wanted to coach the Bears. I mean, he played for the Bears. Like, he literally played for the Bears. Like, why was this such a hard thing? Like, imagine if Harbaugh and Caleb, like, that would be Harbaugh loves his quarterbacks. Obviously, he played the position, so he's got a, thing or two up his sleeve about knowing how to play the position and how to kind of navigate the game. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Me and Shaun have seen it. I mean, NFC Championship, Super Bowl. He changes your program or your organization overnight. And that's, I mean, he won a national championship at University of Michigan, or as Shaun likes to call it, the team up north. So, I mean, to hear that news came out saying, yeah, I think we'll stick with our guy. It's kind of like, like I can make that decision. If I'm sitting here screaming at you like, hey, do we keep Eberflus or do we hire Jim Harbaugh? That's kind of a no-brainer. Something's not right. So
obviously not.
I mean, for this game in general, it kind of just speaks on how good one organization is buttoned up versus the other is just in a whole nother realm. And the score kind of replicates that.
Well, when you were speaking about Keenan Allen, it's like whether or not he decides to return to the Bears or go back to the Chargers or go elsewhere. if he wants to play for Jim Harbaugh, he now would end up going back to the Chargers because obviously the Bears missed their shot with that. Who knows who the Bears end up hiring as their next full-time head coach, but it certainly is not going to be Jim Harbaugh because the Chargers got him now and they're not going to let him go. But Kaz, what did you think about this game as the 49ers beat the Bears 38-13 and bounced back from their losing streak?
This is the Niners that you guys and probably the rest of the league have been waiting on. The NFC West has been vulnerable. It's been open. And the Niners, even though you guys have played bad, been riddled with the injury, you guys are still right there. And this is what I was just talking about, I think, last week. I said, or 2 weeks ago, I said, you guys will be fine as long as you guys can string together some big wins. This was a big win. Yes, this was a big – well, everyone's a big win, but this was a big win. Chicago has a solid defense. Chicago has played every team besides, I think, now 3, you guys being the third one, 2 at one-score game. And usually they're not high-scoring. So the fact you guys threw up 38 points, 38-13, that's a San Fran win. That's what it should look like. And that's what a good team does to a very bad team. And the Bears right now are a very bad team. They don't have a good offense. Caleb is starting to find his groove, but it doesn't matter. They don't have enough help on the offensive side, within the offensive line, to give Caleb what he needs to be successful. And they will at some point in the future. But all in all, you guys still have better defense. You guys still have better weapons on offense. Yeah, you don't got Chris McCaffrey, but you got to look at it like this. And I think I mentioned this in previous podcasts as well. Christian McCaffrey he's overkill. Just because you don't have overkill doesn't mean that you cannot be good. And it's also a running back. And there's a reason why running backs get paid before, of course, Saquon and Derrick Henry right now, but why they're getting paid less and less over the last, 15 years. Because you can find any Joe Blow off the street and make them good running back behind a solid offensive line and good play calling. So, yeah, you got Isaac Guerrero out there. Jordan Mason. Who's to say Jordan Mason's better in the first place? Nobody was mentioning Jordan Mason at all until CMC got hurt. I didn't know who the fuck that guy even was. I knew him because of fantasy football. That's it. I knew CMC, and I think it was last Elijah Moore, not Elijah Moore, but Elijah Mitchell.
Yep.
The running back you guys had. That's who I knew. Jordan Mason came out of nowhere because we had to find out about Jordan Mason, not because of who he was. It's just that simple. So you guys, Toddy said it best. He's like, you guys found Kittle. Good things happen when you find Kittle, of course. And Kittle had a phenomenal game. Without finding the end zone, he's still – if he found the end zone, I mean, that'd be a stupid game for Kittle. But he had what? 150-some yards, right? Yeah, 151 yards on 6 catches.
Yeah.
Averaging 25 yards a catch. And you got Jawan Jennings getting 100 yards. And this is all without CMC. And Brandon Ayuk and Debo giving you 2 catches for, I don't even know how many yards. 22 yards. Okay? Good teams find a way to beat bad teams. And really good teams find a way to beat bad teams the way that you guys did. That's how it should happen. The Bears had honestly, this is more of a testament to the Bears than it is to you guys. The Bears, I don't know what the hell they were doing. You can't do that. You guys get rid of Eberflus. That was the problem, right? And then this happens. You still got DeAndre Swift averaging 2 yards a carry this game.
Oof.
You still got Keenan Allen, right? He played, Keenan Allen. What would you say, DJ Moore? Nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. And your defense, like I said, has held teams to a decent, amount of, low scoring games for the most part. Nothing too crazy. They're not getting blown out 40 to 16 and stuff like that. Teams aren't really scoring 30 on the Bears. So you can't use that as an excuse. The Bears defense for the first half of the season was playing lights out for the most part. They just weren't winning games. So I mean, this was just a really good look for the Niners and a really bad look for the Bears. The Bears are not, well, now they're probably in their tank phase now, but even before that, you went out and you're Chicago, you have a positive record and you have a chance to make the playoffs possibly. Slight, but it's possibly. Now you do not anymore. So watching this game, just what stood out to me was just the poise of the Niners offense. Everything was clicking. Purdy was doing what he needed to do. George Kittle was, saving the day, put his cape on. Garendo did what he needed. It just made sense. The offense made sense. And then your defense, which has always been good and always will be good as long as you guys have, guys like what's his name? You said Dre Greenlaw is coming back, and then you got Fred Warner, and then Nick Bosa wasn't even in that game. So picture what that would look like. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't play last game either?
Yeah, Trent Williams didn't play, and Nick Bosa did not play.
Did you say Trent or Fred?
Trent Williams.
Oh, I thought you said Fred. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Fred played.
The thing about Fred though, he's been playing through a fractured ankle for a majority of the season. He fractured his ankle in the win against the Patriots, and he's just been getting it like wrapped up in a bunch of medicine the entire time. And so
he's on one leg.
Yeah. So I mean, it was one of those games where I was like, Chicago, it's not your year right now. I'm not waiting another week like Toddy would to put my best on you guys to win. No, you guys should lose this game, and you guys did lose that game handedly, and that's just the way that it was supposed to go, I think. So the Niners, on paper, even with all their injuries, is the better team than the Bears, I'd like to say. And when it's all said and done, you guys are actually fighting for something, and the Bears are not. So this is that point of the season where you're going to see these really bad teams like just kind of just roll over and die. I think Chicago's going to be one of those teams, and I mean, it is what it is. So just one of those situations where I think the Niners took full advantage, and they got the Bears down. They stepped on their throats, and they didn't let up, and that's what it looks like. So you guys got a big one next week, and I mean, you got a big one every week. We got a real big one next week, and that could change a lot for you guys. So we'll wait and see.
And Kaz, to your point, I feel like the Bears, when their mindset actually shifted from we could contend for a wild card spot to, all right, we should probably start tanking or it's not looking good for us, was in that Washington game with the Hail Mary that tips back to Noah Brown, and the Bears go from getting a big win in conference to having it ripped away from them. And that's just the bad luck that the Bears always seem to face, which is the opposite for a team like the Chiefs. And so at that point, the Bears were just fighting to keep their season alive. Obviously now it's done, and they just can see what they have with the makeup of the team that they have. You mentioned the 3-star wide receivers along with Swift at running back. Caleb Williams is obviously going to be a great quarterback long-term. Toddy, he may not be top 15 right now or ever to this point. However, he does have that rookie streak for most throws without an interception. He's at like 200 something now that they mentioned during the game broadcast. And that is an impressive stat. Whether if the team wins or loses the game, that's a really impressive stat to me, because that shows me that Caleb Williams is always in control and he's being very decisive with his decisions. Having 3 great wide receivers does help out a lot, but he could easily just toss it up. I mean, even Brock Purdy, oftentimes he's tossing it up, ball gets tipped, he gets intercepted. And so for Caleb Williams to go as long as he has without an interception is very important. And I think that it's a great sign of what's to come from him as he continues to settle into his role in the NFL. And we've talked a lot about Caleb Williams, and Brock Purdy's been talked about a little bit here, but I see you, Toddy. I acknowledge you. But Brock Purdy in this game was brilliant. 20 of 25, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And as was mentioned earlier, George Kittle, 6 receptions, 151 yards. Jawan Jennings, 7 receptions, 90 yards, 2 TDs. And we even got a bit of a Deebo Samuel sighting. He had a whopping 35 all-purpose yards in this game, but he did end up having 5 carries for 13 yards. That's not a great average, but they're trying to get him going. I don't know if Deebo will ever be the same, and that's something I don't really want to think about.
He'll be fine. He's gonna win. He's gonna win people to their fantasy leagues. Just watch, guarantee it.
Oh man, I sure hope so, because I got him in our Stats Over Politics fantasy football league, and Kevin actually absolutely smacked me to end the season. But I had already clinched a playoff spot. Kevin was fighting to get in, and so now we shall see how the playoffs go. All I know is Toddy got a first-round bye. And so Toddy's already advanced to the second round. I lost my first round bye with the loss.
Back up, bro.
And the audio only listeners, you are missing out on all the great views that you get from the YouTube broadcast, including all the smirks and smiles. As we keep things moving here on episode number 127 of Stats Over Politics, Sean Holko alongside Kaz Johnson and Jaevon Toddy. Guys, now let's get to another great Thursday night football game. And Kaz, I'm going to toss this one to you, because between the 3 of us, your team is the one that's going to be competing with both of these teams. And that is the Lions and the Packers in an NFC North battle. Arguably, probably the best Thursday night football game I have seen in a long time. Uncle Manny said that in the group chat, and my reply was, well, we've been getting a lot of great Thursday night football games, which is a great contrast to how it used to be. But nevertheless, it was a great game as the Lions win 34-31 against the Packers, Kaz.
I'll make this brief. Shout out Dan Campbell. Shout out Dan. Because guess what? You guys remember what happened to them in the NFC Championship game, right? What did Dan Campbell do? He took too many gambles and it ultimately lost in the game, right?
Yep.
This man against the Green Bay Packers, knowing that they lose this game and we win, seeing our schedule, knowing we play Carolina next. Actually, we didn't have to even beat Carolina. We already did our job last week when we beat who do we play? I don't even know. It doesn't matter. We get the number 1 seed, and they now are the 2 seed if they lose to Green Bay. And we went out for the most part. And that man said, still, I'm sticking to who I am. Went for on 4th down, I think 4 times, converted 3 out of 4 times. The time before, the last time, they failed. And they gave the ball to the Packers on their own side of the field. He did not change. That dude is insane. And that's the kind of stuff that everybody says, oh, that's going to lose you a playoff game. Are you sure about that? We mentioned the Chiefs, right? They're winning games. The Lions, they're winning games. And they're winning games in a more honorable fashion than the Chiefs are, obviously. But regardless, this is a massive game on Thursday night on a short week against a division rival who also, if they lose this game to Green Bay would not be 9-4. They would be 10-3. And Detroit would be, instead of 12-1, 11-2. They'd be risking the fact that they might lose a division because Detroit still has a couple more games to play. I believe a couple division games to play that are going to be tough. They still got Minnesota again. I think they got Chicago one more time. I want to say. I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they do. I think they do in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they got Chicago one more time. This is the second time playing the Packers, I believe. So I think that's done. They got Minnesota again in Chicago. So at the end of the day, that man doing what he did was a statement. It's like they didn't even have to. They gained an extra 5 yards to add on to what was already going to be a chip shot of a field goal. It was like a 39-yarder, 30 something like yarder, and they didn't gain anything crazy from getting that first down. They didn't.
Well, what they did gain though is the ability to end the game on offense.
Yeah, that's
kicking that field goal. 30 seconds left, whatever.
That's what I was going to get at. Yeah, it's like that's the only thing they got. And even so, odds, you think about it. Okay, they kick a field goal. They give Jordan Love the ball with like 40 seconds. It's like
the Packers had the momentum, though. I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but the Packers, they had the momentum late. And it's like Jordan Love could have driven them down for not just the tie, but the win.
True, which is very true. But like statistics show like the odds of that happening were still in favor of Detroit winning that game. With you got to rely on Jordan Love. Take away this scenario. If I just said, hey, team A, team B. Team A can kick a field goal and give team B 30 seconds to score a field goal. Would you say team B has a better opportunity, or do you think team A has a better opportunity just to win? These things do happen. There was momentum, but at the end of the day, if they kick the field goal, I think Detroit probably still wins the game. I really do. But you're right. Jordan Love was balling out. He was doing his thing at the very end of the game like he should have. And it's a division game and anything can happen. So just kind of back to what I was saying, like just big shout out to Dan Campbell just saying, you know what? Yeah, we went 2 for 2 at first. And then, we missed it big time going for 4th down on the Packers side of the field. And then to end the game with Jared Goff falling down, just getting the handoff off, we get the first down, a few more yards, and then we run the clock down and a game-winning field goal. Some would say it's a bonehead execution. I was even saying myself watching, I'm like, just kick the field goal. They're not gonna drive it. Kick the field goal, play good defense, write your best defensive scheme, and just keep them out of field goal range. Yeah, I get it. The Detroit Lions are riddled with injury on defense, like badly. They really were. But it's like the odds of somebody doing that. That's not something that happens all the time in the NFL. When there's 30, 40 seconds left. It's not a real thing. Now, if it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, mind you, I'd be like, okay, you got to run that clock out. But I wasn't sitting there because at this point now Jordan Love has to get on the field. Now there's no wiggle room. It's like I got to get in the field goal range. If your defensive coordinator can't draw up something that can keep guys in the field goal range, That says a lot about your team, even though you are riddled with injury. And let's not look at the Packers and look at them. I mean, shit, Jaden Reed, their best receiver, had 0 yards. So let's just talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Josh Jacobs had a day. Christian Watson played well. Latavius Wicks had a couple catches. Tucker Kraft went off, But their best receiver had 0 yards. So I don't think that the Lions really had anything to fear outside of just shit in the bed. They're still favored to win whether or not they kick the field goal with time left on the clock, under a minute, or they run the clock out. It was a ballsy move, and at the end of the day, you got to take your hat off to Dan Campbell. You do. I think when it's all said and done, I don't want to say that he made the better decision by going for it because they don't get it. It's 2 passes, now the Packers at field goal range. You know what I'm saying? So it was just one of those situations like, yo, however I feel, I'm going to ride with it. I'm going to run with it. And, we're going to trust our gut here. And when it comes to Dan Campbell, he trusts going for it. And it worked out. Just a really good game. Nothing really negative to say about either team. A really good game, a hard-fought division game. And I just wish as an Eagles fan the Packers would have gotten it. Even though I picked the Lions to win, I wish the Packers would have got it.
The thing about Dan Campbell employing his philosophy with going for it is that he instills confidence in his team. And they even mentioned during the game that the Lions rank, if not number 1, in the very top in the NFL converting on 4th down. I think the Lions lead the NFL in conversion percentage on 4th down. And that's because his players know, hey, even if we don't get it and it's 4th and 3, we're going to go for it. And the play call on 3rd down is with an idea to go for it. And I agree with you. Props to Dan Campbell. But also I will just mention, and we're spending a little extra time on this game, but just because of how great of a game it was. And the other thing I'll add to it is I've even seen the trickle-down effect to not just college, but high school football. Because I recently moved to Sonora for this new job. I'm covering 2 high schools in this new town, and Sonora has a town of like 5,000 people. Both teams that I'm covering have gone on to win NorCal championships, and they're going to be playing for state titles in SoCal this weekend. One of them being Sonora High School on Saturday night on their first drive of the game. They went for it on 4th and 1, not once, but twice. First at their own 37-yard line, and then at the opponent's 47-yard line. The second one makes a little more sense at midfield. But to go for it on the opening drive of the game at your own 31-yard line, now we're seeing the Dan Campbell effect trickle down into college and high school sports. And now more teams are having the confidence to go for it, even if the analytics don't necessarily say that it would be beneficial. So I agree with you, Kaz. Props to Dan Campbell for standing on business and just sticking by his philosophy, because that was the thing that was mentioned during the broadcast too, is just like a lot of times you might see coaches make these bold decisions in the first 3 quarters, but then they get a little scared in the 4th quarter and they start playing conservative, and then they totally go against their philosophy and everything that they built their program to be. So props to Dan Campbell for sticking by his guns. Jaevon, this next game isn't so interesting, but the Saints, they beat the Giants 14-11.
Did you guys see Coach Rizzi was chewing out his punter, and he was screaming at him? I don't know why he was yelling at him, and then Alvin Kamara had to be all right, coach, chill out. Chill out. He was
I saw a little bit of it, but not a lot.
Not really that much from this game. Derek Carr broke his hand. He was trying to do some crazy weird flip or something, and Saints fans were like, why are you trying to do this and that? Our season's over anyway, blah blah blah. The Giants pump faked everybody into thinking that they were going to come back and win, and they were like, oh, made you look. So and then basically a lot of these things are off the field things that happened during this game. When I saw somebody tweet about Tyrann Mathieu was like, why are you calling these plays like I ain't out here? And then he quote tweeted the person that said, he was like, that was actually me. The person said that Malik Neighbor said that, and Tyrann Mathieu came out on Twitter and was like, or on X, and was like, hey, that was me that said that. So I thought that was pretty funny. But I don't know, man. Derek Carr, is the Derek Carr era over and with the Saints? Perhaps. I feel like if the Saints got a quarterback, their team would be pretty good. Their defense is solid. like I said, I like their players. Olave is probably out for the rest of the year. They got good. Taysom Hill's a gadget guy. If you add a Cam Ward to that offense, I feel like they could make some noise. Absolutely next year. If you add like I don't think who else was a quarterback. I think Shador will probably be gone by then, but there's Cam Ward.
He's going to be a Raider.
Yeah. We'll probably get into that a little later, but yeah, if you had like a Cam Ward or I don't know, maybe Quinn Ewers maybe-ish to this offense, they could be pretty decent.
Heisman finalist, Cam Ward, as we'll get to a little bit later. But this next game I'll get to myself as the Steelers. They beat the Browns 27-14 in an AFC North battle. The thing that was interesting about this one is that apparently the Browns had the Steelers number. And despite the Browns coming into this game at 3-9, Steelers at 10-2, or excuse me, 9-3, the Steelers, just given the fact that it's division and it's a rivalry, the Steelers were still a little weary of the Browns in this game. But Steelers ultimately took care of business, and Jameis Winston, his prayers were answered as the Lord did not make him throw any pick sixes in this game. If he stopped himself and didn't say the sixes part, then maybe they would have been a little more well off if he didn't throw any interceptions at all. Nevertheless, his prayers were answered. So, Kaz, this next game, the Vikings beat the Falcons 42-21 in Kirk Cousins' homecoming. Another stinker for Kirk O'Chains.
Yeah, I was just glad to see Justin Jefferson, man, finally have a damn game. Like, godly, bro.
Right?
Like, the man's got plenty of yards. He's still gonna be a top receiver, when it's all said and done for another season. He had to get another season, but it's like a down year for Jay Jettis, man. Like, and he's healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's not missing multiple weeks or anything like that. And Sam Darnold has played well all season long. The Vikings have 2 losses, so it's like they have 2 losses, and like Jay Jettis doesn't really have much to show for outside of putting them in positions to score and and win games. But it was cool to see Jay Jettis, kind of get a spark back just in time. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that bad of a blowout, but I mean, God, man, I'm not a believer in the Falcons. I'm not sure who. I think I was talking to one of my homies before the season started. We did a early predictions, and they were like, "Oh, Atlanta for sure got Kirk Cousins. They're gonna be fine. This, that, and the other, right?" I'm like, the Bucks just beat the Eagles in the playoffs. And then, fast forward a couple weeks in, the Bucks beat the Eagles in the regular season. I'm like, the Buccaneers are the best team in the NFC South, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because right now they are playing like the team because, the Saints were riddled to injury. And no Chris Olave. He's been on IR forever. And obviously losing Rashid Shaheed and things of that such. And even Derek Carr for a little while. So it's like the Saints probably have the better roster, I'm gonna say, give or take, but the Bucs are the better team. They're better coached. I think that they have the best quarterback in the NFC South. Even though Bryce Young's got the ball right now, but let's just call it what it is. Baker Mayfield has also been balling. I don't have a lot of the Falcons don't have an identity. It's like they have guys around that have names, cool names. You got Bijan, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Kirk O'Chains, but it's like it doesn't matter if you have all these guys if you guys aren't making plays. You guys have no identity. Your offense actually revolves around Darnell Mooney. I mean, that's just the truth. You take away Darnell Mooney, you guys don't win half the games you guys have won so far this season. So the Falcons, to me, just are not a good team. I don't think they're a terrible team, but they don't have an identity. That's all. Like it's too late in the season for the Falcons to make a surge when your best players, guys who would thrive on the teams like Bijan, like Drake London, are pretty much non-existent. I mean, they can try to force feed the ball, but it just isn't working. So them playing against a team like the Vikings, who I know Vikings fans, me being from the Midwest, I've told you guys this plenty of times. They're like, we always do this thing where we win a bunch of games in the regular season, all of a sudden we just shit the bed, which is not true, by the way. The Vikings have done it like twice in the last 5 or 6 years where they start off really hot and then all of a sudden they just disappear. I don't think that's really the case with these Vikings. They're in the toughest division of football right now, besides probably the NFC West. I think the NFC West is the most competitive, but when it comes to talent-wise, I think the NFC North is definitely the best right now. And you're sitting at 2 losses. You guys are good, and you're doing that without Justin Jefferson, your best player, probably the best receiver in the NFL. Not even finding the end zone. The Vikings are good, and the Vikings just proved a massive point in this game. Yo, this ain't no fluke season. So just watch out for Minnesota. They're gonna make something happen here, I think.
I agree. And one other name I wanted to add to the Falcons impact players is Ray McCloud, former San Francisco 49ers return man. I only know that he's made an impact receiving because I have him on my dynasty fantasy team. And so I just see him putting up numbers every week. And I'm like, all right, Ray, I see you. You're much more than just a return man. So shout out to him as well. But obviously, like you said, it's the Darnell Mooney show. And that's crazy in an offense with Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts. But that's the Falcons, I guess. Doesn't really make sense. Jaevon, this next game, the Buccaneers, they beat the Raiders 28-13 in the battle of former John Gruden teams.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy that I just realized that. Bucky Irving was questionable in this game. A lot of fantasy owners, including myself, are wondering, hey, why is Bucky not playing? He's got shoulder pads on and not playing. So he came in for a little bit, gave you about 3 points, and they let the other guy come in. I forget what his name is off the top of my head. But the other running back, not Rashad White. It was a different guy. He came in and scored a couple of touchdowns.
Sean Tucker?
Sean Tucker. He came in and he did pretty well, but Rashad White got the majority of the carries. Jalen McMillan from Washington, UW, played really well in this game. He was kind of a guy that went under the radar at that UW team because Roma Dunze was kind of the guy that everybody was talking about. Jalen Polk was another guy on that team. McMillan was the other receiver that was getting a lot of targets on that team, but kind of got swept under the rug. I believe it was a 3rd round pick. So they're probably pleased to have him play as well as he did in this past game, but the Raiders aren't good. Raiders are just trying. Brock Bowers is like the only bright spot for Raiders fans because I think he broke the like tight end rookie record receptions. Yep. It was like 88 or 87 or something like that. Brock Bowers is very good at football, and it doesn't matter who his quarterback is, whether it's Desmond Ridder, Aiden O'Connell, or Gardner Minshew. So just imagine if he gets a guy like Sean was saying, Shedeur Sanders, throwing him the pigskin. He'll see a lot more production then. But as of right now, though, I can't really judge the Raiders on any type of scale because their quarterback play is so bad that it kind of affects the entire team. So, yeah, the Bucs won and they covered the spread. How would I know? Because I gambled on them.
You know it. And this next game was a bit of a stinker, but I'll talk about it. As the Jaguars beat the Titans 10-6. Good for the Jaguars. I mean, now both teams are 3-10. It's like whoop-de-doo. They're competing for top 5 picks. The thing about this game that I thought was the most interesting is after the Titans beat the Texans, and the Texans haven't been consistent this season. They're going to get into the playoffs as the AFC South winner, but they have not been consistent this year. And for the Titans to go from for the Titans to go from defeating the Houston Texans to losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars doesn't really make sense, but I guess it's AFC South football. And Kaz, if you could do the honors for us with this next game, it's your squad as the Eagles beat the Panthers 22-16.
This one a game I'm going to put behind me. I mean, there's not really much to say about it besides hats off to the Panthers. They played a very hard-fought game against a very good football team.
Leggett had y'all spooked for like 10 seconds.
We should have lost. I'll say that. We should have lost. I mean, we should. That same play at the end of the game to Leggett, gets caught 9 out of 10 times. We got lucky, and we got some Chiefs. We got some Chiefs luck. There we go. We got what the Chiefs are used to. That's it. I don't know what kind of black magic was sprinkled over that field, but Eagles are at home. Missing a couple defensive guys. Cooper DeJean getting lit up by Adam Thielen. It happens. Good season, man. Very good season, but Adam had your card that day. Bryce Young looked very well. Outplayed Jalen Hurts big time. It was an embarrassing win. And Eagles Twitter is up in shambles right now. AJ Brown's not happy. He's made it very clear. He said,
what's going on with your boy, man?
What's going on with Brandon? What's going on with Brandon Graham? Just airing all the dirty laundry.
What's going on? This is not the time to be having this problem right now,
bro. You can polish your turd all you want, but it's still gonna stink. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the problem. When I say turd, I don't mean the individual. I'm talking about just a situation. The situation.
Hold on. So when you guys say go birds, do you mean to say go turds instead?
Fuck off. Hey, listen, you can't talk to us this season. I don't want to hear no slander from you guys.
I'm sorry. I had to.
You guys can't say shit. But no, it was an embarrassing win, but a win is a win, and we got to look past it and pray to God that this is not the identity of the Eagles entering in the playoffs, because it will not get us to where we need to go. I'm sorry, it won't. The Panthers are not a good team. They're not. I don't care how well they play. I don't care that it's week 14 and teams are playing us really hard and this and that and the other. I don't care. I don't care. The Panthers should have been beat comfortably on the road against Philadelphia. They weren't. We can make 1,000 excuses. We won the game. That's all that matters. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. I think that AJ Brown's going to have a crazy game next week, because when he starts to get upset, he's been very quiet this year. Very, very quiet. Very, very quiet. He's been very cool, cordial, even though his numbers are very low. And then this happens, and he's open on a lot of plays, and there's film to show it. And everybody on Eagles Twitter and even on ESPN, they're saying why is Jalen Hurts not hitting? He's open. It's an issue. It's an issue. And I even tweeted, as a matter of fact, I think I have it right here on deck. And I'll say it out loud. I will, because I'm sick of the Jalen Hurts. I love the guy. I root for the guy. I cheer for the guy so heavy because I've seen what he can do. But I said on Twitter, Jalen Hurts defenders are starting to look mad weird. Like, I get that he's not the QB that's tailored to give us 250 plus a game and multiple passing touchdowns. But there's no way you're watching him play and saying out loud, yep, this is going to win us a championship. His performance matters. And I go, and I typically have had his back since the jump, but AJ's frustration is warranted. Hurts looks very average. Sam Darnold looks twice the quarterback that Jalen Hurts is, and is surrounded by half the talent. And that's just nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth. It's not that Hurts is a terrible quarterback. He's not playing up to his potential. That's the only problem I have. You cannot have 100 yards passing, bro. I'm sorry, with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 100 passing yards. Well, you got Saquon Barkley. In what world before Saquon has there been other running backs that have been that great? Because he's not the first one, and the quarterback struggles to get 150 yards passing. It just something's not adding up. And the fact that it took us having a game like that against Carolina for this to be brought up says a lot. We are sitting at, what are we at? 2 losses on the season. 2 losses on the season, and we're not happy. That should tell people something. Oh, it's just the overboard Eagles fans mad. No, it's not that we're mad about the fact that we only have 2 losses. Look what happened to us last year being 10-1, and what happened? It went straight downhill. We can't act like that's not a possibility. We can't look at this offense and go, I'm comfortable. Hell no, I'm not comfortable. Not after that. I would like to see some sort of consistency. I don't need perfection, but I need consistency. And right now, I'm not seeing consistency out of our quarterback. I'm hoping that it's just we're being lackadaisical because we got Saquon. But at the end of the day, what do you do when Saquon gets shut down? Are we all of a sudden going to flip a switch and things are going to work out? Well, we don't know, because you got to use these guys so that they're ready to go. You can't just do it like that. So I just want them to have more of a true identity on offense and not just, well, we got Saquon Barkley. That's never worked in the history of the NFL. We got one guy. So just a game that it's an embarrassing one. Happy we won, but we're still sitting in second place in NFC. So but not much to show for it.
Are you worried going into the Pittsburgh game?
No, not at all. No,
not worried.
No, I'm not. No, I think again, this was an embarrassing win. I'm confident that this is a one-time thing. I don't think Hurts is going to put up 100 yards against Pittsburgh, and then we just get our ass kicked by Pittsburgh. No. I think that we actually played Pittsburgh really well. We make the adjustments because, like I said, when AJ complains, usually the very next game, actually usually the next couple games, he balls out. So I think we mixed some things up a little bit. Saquon will probably find the end zone more, but probably not have a lot of yards. I don't think Saquon's even going to get Eric Dixon's record. I don't. I think that at some point he'll be denied. He might have a game or two where he goes for maybe 85, 90. He has to average 121 yards a game to get the record from here on out. Is it possible? Yeah. Can we do that and win? I don't know. So we'll see.
We shall see. And it's going to be another important game coming up this week for the Eagles. And there will be an important game for the 49ers, as Toddy mentioned earlier, on Thursday Night Football against the Rams. But before we get there, we got to finish wrapping up week 14. And the next game, Jaevon, is an AFC East battle as the Dolphins defeated the Jets. But before we get there, I just figure I should highlight this comment from Cousin Cordell, who says, what about the Steelers? Def is better than the Panthers, who just locked y'all up. So
yeah, no, that's true. But here's the thing, Cordell, the Panthers defense definitely is not as good as the Steelers defense, but the Panthers played very well. And we were very one-dimensional and very lackadaisical. The Panthers also played the Chiefs to a one-score game too. I think it's like a 3-point game, so a 2 or 3 point game. So these things just happen. I'm not really too over concerned about that. We have far too much talent to really fuck it up and do what we did last year. I'm not worried about the Steelers at all when it comes to that. So yes, they have a better defense, but we still do have Saquon, and he has not been denied all season long. I just don't want to rely on that. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to rely on that to win games. That's all. But you guys cannot stop Saquon. Sorry.
Yeah, that's understandable. And in addition to Cordell talking about the Steelers defense, he says, and the Steelers offense is way better as well. I believe that he's mainly just talking about the Panthers and not about the Eagles offense in comparison. But anyways, we'll keep it moving. Cousin Cordell will have a lot more to say after this weekend's game against the Eagles, and we will check back with him after that. But Toddy, as I was getting to, the Dolphins beat the Jets 32-26 in overtime.
Tua is the difference on why the Dolphins are somewhat relevant. I mean, those 4 weeks plus that he was gone, it was kind of like, all right, we're seeing, Tyler Huntley help save us, and it's, very frustrating. I believe they went through a couple of injuries during that span as well. I think just, Tua is one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league when he's playing. I think the Jets are a mess. Kevin came to me on Sunday morning and was like, let's bet on the Jets. I said, every time I hear that meme, Pete Davidson, who bets on the Jets? every time. It just kind of just comes down to, I think Tua is the, dare I say, better quarterback right now. I mean, Aaron Rodgers hasn't really shown me anything this season. So where I think it's just, he's old, and it's like, all right, is this just a failed, like the whole thing, just the whole Jets fiasco, him, the 4 plays. I feel like all this stuff was probably supposed to happen last year. Like the Jets were, I feel like they had all the momentum going into it last year, and then, Rodgers tore his Achilles, and that was it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the, best quarterbacks I've seen play. He's got a bunch of stats, a lot of accolades, obviously has a Super Bowl, but I feel like I don't think he's the same guy. Jets fans, they're hoping and wishing that guy's in there somewhere. He ain't in there. I don't know if he's going to come back next season. If he does depart, where does he go? That's going to be the $1 million question. And it wasn't that the Jets roster was bad. Like they had Saleh, and they were one of the top defenses in the league. They got rid of him. They've deteriorated deteriorated since then. I mean, Breece Hall hasn't really showed up. Garrett Wilson hasn't really been getting fed the ball. They try to force feed Devontae. Devontae still balls, but I mean, I feel like you should try to, involve everybody into the offense and use all your players. But yeah, I think this Dolphins team is, probably going to end up being too little too late based off of the injuries. But yeah, I think maybe the Dolphins can try to make some noise going forward. But I think the Jets were eliminated from playoff contention this past week. So yeah, Dolphins maybe sneak into the playoffs. The AFC playoff picture is kind of there's some hope, but I think they're gonna need some help for sure.
Somehow the Jets have just been an absolute dumpster fire, and that sounds like a stupid statement given the history of the New York Jets. And you can't attribute Aaron Rodgers' injury last year to that. But this season, they have just been an absolute dumpster fire, and it does not make sense. And this was just the latest installment of it. The only way for this story to get better is if Aaron Rodgers completed the Brett Favre trifecta and ended up going to play for the Minnesota Vikings. That would be the only way for them to truly have this story come to an end in an appropriate manner. But now just getting to the next game, the Seahawks beat the Cardinals 30-18. I'll get to this one myself because it was really interesting, Kaz, because I picked the Cardinals to win this game. I picked the Cardinals to win the division a couple weeks back. Meanwhile, you picked the Seahawks, and the Seahawks have been rolling since. I believe that's 3 wins in a row for the Seattle Seahawks. And it looks like the Seahawks are the front runners right now to win the NFC West, which is really interesting. The Cardinals, in the games that have gotten important, have just faded to black, and it's unfortunate for them and their fans. But aside from the 49ers, the Seahawks have one other contender, and that is the Rams, who beat the Bills 44-42 on Sunday, Kaz.
Yeah, something about that game. Obviously, I showed you guys earlier. I called every game correct, so clearly I picked the Rams to beat the Bills. I was like, you know what? I was like, the Rams are at home. And the Bills, to me, are not as good as their record shows. And what I mean by that is this. Josh Allen's a beast, okay? He's a very good quarterback. Not denying that at all. But when I look at the Buffalo Bills, I look at their schedule, which I don't have it up right now, but if I remember correctly, I'm like, the Bills have not really beat anybody that has a winning record. Matter of fact, just so I don't mess this up.
Hey. They beat
Hold up. Just so I don't mess this up, because I really want to be on point with this, because I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, yeah, Buffalo, hear me out. Week 1, Arizona, which is week 1. Nobody knew the Cardinals were even going to be a contender. Win. Beat the Dolphins. Win. Beat the Jags. Win. Lose to the Ravens. Lose to the Texans. Beat the Jets. Beat the Titans. Beat Seattle. And this is when Seattle's on that like 3 or 4 game losing streak. I don't know where them in the early end of the season. Okay. Yeah. Beat the Dolphins again. Beat the Colts. Then they beat the Chiefs. Okay. That's a big one. All right. Then they beat the Niners. You guys were still in the snowy game. So when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, I'm like, look at the schedule. I'm like, I get it. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're doing.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, Cardinals week 1, Dolphins, Jags, lose Ravens, lose Texans, Jets, Titans, Seattle, early Seattle, Dolphins again, Colts. That's all they're
How good are the Bills?
How good are the Bills? And I look at the Rams, I'm like, you're already in one of the most competitive divisions in football. You're in the most competitive division of football right now. And if you're not the most competitive, you're number 2. Buffalo, you're on the road. Puka Nacua is playing like a top 5 wide receiver. Matthew Stafford is a name that we all know and should understand who the hell he is. And Sean McVay is a great coach. You guys are fucking losing this game. And I think that they lost it rightfully so. The Rams came out and popped them in the mouth early. And the Bills had to scrounge around to try to find ways to win this game. And the Rams were like, okay, that's fine. You can score points, so can we. And we already went up. I think it was 13-0 or 14. They went up like 13 or 14, I think, at some point, if not mistaken. But for sure, at least up by 10 at one point. And Buffalo battled back, but that's how you beat the Buffalo Bills right there. You get a lead on them, and you force Josh Allen to play hero ball to win, but you don't let up at all. The Rams had the offense to do it. All they needed was an early lead. And to conclude that game, just stick to your guns and do what works. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams. Handle business, bro. Make it make sense. And that's exactly what they did. So I was very confident calling that game. I was very, very confident. I like Buffalo. I like Josh Allen. But I'm like, there ain't nothing I've seen this season that's telling me that you guys are a juggernaut. Besides the fact he had a pretty cake schedule. So Rams won. They won at home. And the Rams are fighting for that spot or fighting for that division spot. So who knows? Maybe they're going to prove me wrong and be the guys coming out of the NFC West.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Had 12 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown.
Beast.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Beast. He's on my fantasy.
Toddy, that's why Toddy's in first place. And so, Jaevon, if you could close us out with the game that we all just watched. I'm not sure which of the three versions you guys watched. I started out with the Simpsons version through the first quarter. Couldn't take it for much longer. It was a nice touch, but I was trying to actually watch the game. So I flipped it to the Manning cast, and then I flipped to the regular version afterwards. But regardless of which version of this Monday Night Football game you were watching, Jaevon, the Bengals beat the Cowboys 27-20.
Is Jamar the best receiver in the league? I feel like that's
it's either Jamar or Justin.
And they were on the same team at one point in time.
Not because you're off, Toddy. I knew you were going to say that. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in football for sure this season, without a doubt. I'm taking Jay Jettas overall, though.
And do we applaud Jamar for kind of waiting on getting a contract because he tried to hold out, and then he was like, "Oh, if we don't come, well, I'll just play the season out." And even though he's 2 years removed from Jettas was a year removed, like he was due for his contract, and Jamar Chase had 2 years left, so people were like, "Hey, you got to play like one more year." He's probably gonna get what did Jettas get? Like 40 or 30 something? I think Jettas got like 35.
A lot of money.
I think Jettas got 35. So what is Jamar gonna ask for? 40? Like something crazy. He's gonna ask for something crazy. I thought the Cowboys surprisingly came out swinging, scoring on their first possession, and I put in the group chat, I was like, Cowboy? 7-0 Cowboys?
You got Uncle Manny a little excited.
Yeah, Uncle Manny got juice. Rico Dowdle played really well in this game. I mean, he's starting to come into his own as RB1 there. Just the Cowboys they're kind of just the broken because Dak Prescott isn't playing. I don't know if that's saying much, but their $60 million quarterback is out for the rest of the season. And they're kind of just trying to make whatever happen. They made a play late, like a push late to try and win the game. But I just think Joe Burrow he's been putting a Superman cape on for the entire season. And that's kind of what it's looked like. And it's been really Jamar Chase is out there somewhere. I'm going to find him. Jamar's going to make plays. And that's kind of been their offense. And sprinkled in with a little bit of T. Higgins, who's gone probably after the end of the year. But, I mean, Joe Burrow has been playing like he statistically is the best quarterback in the league, and Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the league. Those ingredients kind of make the best offense of the league. But when your defense has been playing as bad as what the Bengals defenses look like the entire year, that will reflect on what their record looks like. And they needed this win. I don't know. I think statistically they're still, like mathematically, they're still alive in the playoff hunt, but they need a lot to kind of go their way. And they got to win pretty much every game going forward.
They certainly do. And with that, we bid adieu to our guy, Kaz. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate you as always.
Brother Kaz.
Yeah, brother Kaz out. I appreciate you guys. Until next week, as always, it's Go Birds.
Go Turds. All right.
Yeah.
Bet on Kaz's picks if you guys want to win some money.
No, it's done. It's done. That was a one chance, bro. That was it.
Damn.
I know. Maybe in a couple years.
Better luck this week waking up early, Kaz.
All right, y'all. You guys have a good night.
All right.
You as well. Thank you for joining us, as always, Kaz. As Jaevon and I close out episode number 127 of Stats Over Politics. Toddy, it's time to get to some Heisman Trophy picks because we have the finalists. The ceremony is this upcoming Saturday. So now is our time to – it's coming up quick. And so we are going to save our college football playoff bracket talk for next week since the playoff doesn't officially start till the 20th. But the Heisman Trophy ceremony is this upcoming weekend. The 4 finalists are Dillon Gabriel, quarterback from Oregon, Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, Travis Hunter, do everything player for the Colorado Buffaloes. He specializes in playing wide receiver and defensive back, and the best running back in the country, unless you asked Cam Scattaboo, but arguably the best running back in the country, Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. Just a quick breakdown of what those guys have been doing this year is Dillon Gabriel has passed for 28 touchdowns and 3,558 total yards. Travis Hunter has 4 interceptions defensively and 1,152 yards receiving. Ashton Jeanty, 29 rushing touchdowns for Ashton Jeanty and 2,497 rushing yards for Jeanty. And finally, Cam Ward, 4,123 passing yards, 36 passing touchdowns. So I know where I'm going with my Heisman pick, but I'd like to hear yours first. Who are you picking to win the Heisman Trophy and why, Jaevon?
Did you see Scattaboo hit the Heisman post twice?
I saw him do it not once, not twice, 3 times. Real Linda's own Cam Scattaboo.
Yeah, and his highlights are going viral of what he was doing at Rio Linda, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Scattaboo. Sac State. What's Sac State?
He sure did. Stingers up.
Yeah, once upon a time. So
I'm sorry. One other thing I wanted to add, and I should have said this just in the moment before you got going, but the craziest part about Cam Scattaboo's career thus far is the fact that my alma mater, Sac State, was his only D1 offer coming out of high school at Rio Linda. He led the Rio Linda Knights to a state championship. Linda. He led them to a state championship. And for him to fly under the radar, man, I still don't understand it. But, good things come to those who wait and those who work. And we are seeing that.
Is he a junior or senior?
I think he's a junior because he spent, if I'm not mistaken, he spent his first 2 years of college at Sac State. Might have redshirted his freshman year. I'll fact check that. I'm pretty sure he is a redshirt junior right now because if I recall correctly, he graduated from Rio Linda in 2018.
Do you think he comes out?
Yeah. He did say in that same press conference where he was like, I'm the best running back in the nation. I should be a Heisman finalist. And he also said, whatever NFL team gets me, they're going to get someone who's going to work hard. So, hey, man, just looking ahead real quickly. This is a quick aside for me, but I'm in a dynasty fantasy football league, which means that
you're scouting
year after year.
You're scared.
So I've been tanking this entire season because I had a bunch of old dudes on my team and I had to trade them all away. And I basically tanked so I could get the number 1 overall pick. I'm taking Ashton Jeanty with the number 1 overall pick. If I could receive defensive points from Travis Hunter, I probably would have taken him, but I'm going to go with Jeanty with the first overall pick. And then I got the last pick of the first round because of some trades I made. I'm really hoping I can circle back around and get Cam Scattaboo with the last pick of the first round. I need some running backs. The only running back I got on my team basically right now is Devon Achane. And he's great, but he's only one guy. And exactly. And so, anyways, Toddy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sidetrack us. Who are you picking to win the Heisman Trophy and why?
I mean, I kind of got to go with Travis Hunter. I'm looking at what his like receiving yards is, and it kind of matches up with top receivers, full-time receivers in the country. Like he's in the world, he's in the class with guys like Xavier Restrepo. I think I forgot what his name was. He's from San Jose State. He was on there in the running for best receiver in the country. And just him playing pretty much every single snap possible. And being one of the top corners in the league. Like he can get drafted. He's probably going to get drafted as a corner. I saw Richard Sherman talking about him. He's probably going to be a corner, but can still be like your third best receiver on a team. And I think he's going to end up playing both in the NFL as well. So
I hope so.
I do think Travis Hunter is probably going to win the Heisman. Now, Genty he's putting up astronomical numbers. I'm not sure if he broke Barry Sanders' record. I think he did.
I'll fact check that.
I don't think he did. Or I saw Barry tweet and saying that he wanted him to break the record. And it's like, whatever happens, happens. They feed, like he gets like 26, 27 to like 30 carries a game. And he's going to get 200. He's gonna break. He's gonna break a long 60-yard run at some point in time because he gets a lot of carries. So he's bound to bust at least 2 to 3 big runs a game. And they run the offense through Genty. I mean, all the stats that you mentioned: 2,400 yards, 29 touchdowns. Like those are video game numbers that he's putting up. The betting odds are kind of favoring Travis Hunter, but I feel like it shouldn't be that big of a gap based off of what Genty's numbers are and how well he's played. I mean, and basically led his team to the college football playoff, and they get a first round bye. I'm not so sure if they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. I mean, I just feel like the way that the system allows them to, be the number 4 seed and just kind of they won their conference. I don't think every conference is created equal. Not all schedules are created equal. I mean, they got Wyoming's, they got Idaho's, they got, no disrespect, Fresno State's on there. Now, they did play the number 1 team down to the wire, and I did watch that game. Live bet it. Shout out to Oregon. I mean, and Genty played his butt off in that game. He had a huge run. And that was against literally the number 1 team in the country on the road. So that's kind of the game that they're like holding on for dear life. Like, hey, look, we played the number 1 team in the country, came down to the wire. We're actually really good. But, you're kind of looking at these other schedules and, teams that, don't really have any top 25 wins. So that's a whole nother conversation for another story. But I think Genty, and he's probably going to come in second. Gabriel, I get it. Number 1 team in the country. You won the Big Ten. Guys got the number 1 seed. It's kind of precedent for him to get like an invite, but I don't think he's going to win it. Cam Ward, another guy who basically puts his Superman cape on every single week for his team to have a chance at winning. Like, if Cam Ward doesn't throw for 320 yards and 3 touchdowns, the game's not going to be like it's going to be lopsided. I think he could be a guy in the running for the Davey O'Brien Award, which is the best quarterback. Him and Shador are probably going to be neck and neck for those 2 awards. But I think it'll probably be Travis Hunter, Genty at number 2, Dylan Gabriel probably at 3 because they're the best team in the country, and then Cam Ward 4. Just based off of, if Cam Ward doesn't play on the Miami Hurricanes, they're probably like a 7-5 team.
Mm-hmm.
So like him being on the team and what he brings to the value that he brings to that Hurricanes offense as a whole, it just speaks volumes. It's not an MVP award. It's best player in the country award type vibe, but MVP like. I just think it's probably going to end up going to Travis Hunter, just based off of we've never seen what he's doing, how he's playing, the high level that he's playing at on both ends of the football is like he's a top corner and he's playing like a top receiver, which is unheard of. So with that being said, I think it's gonna probably go to Travis Hunter, and I believe Travis Hunter should win.
So I'm a little torn on this one. I'm gonna probably go with Ashton Jeanty to win the Heisman, and it's simply because, like, we talk about the value of Cam Ward at Miami. Like, I agree with you. If he wasn't at Miami, they wouldn't have even been in the conversation of being contenders. But to me, Cam Ward was the early front runner for the Heisman, because I think back to that Cal game when they were down like 38-10 and he led them all the way back to win. To me, that was his Heisman moment right then and there. But then they kind of faded out into the distance. They didn't win the ACC like they could have. And so I'm going to go with Jeanty just because the numbers that he's putting up are astronomical. To even get involved in the conversation with Barry Sanders is an accomplishment in itself. As of right now, he's a little short of Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record, which Barry Sanders' all-time rushing record is over 2,600 yards, and Jeanty's just right now over 2,400. So he's really close, and I'm not sure. I guess technically the stats would count in the postseason, and so I guess he can still break the record. Some people are going to say he did it in more games. Oh, well, like, he led his team to the playoff, and now it's an expanded playoff to where they could end up playing in 4 games. If no, wait, because Boise State has a first round bye, so they would play in three games. But nevertheless, I'm going with Jeanty just because the numbers are ridiculous. Boise State would not even be close to the college football playoff if it weren't for him, and if they were, they would probably be in that Clemson spot where they may have won their conference, but they're not a top 4 seed. He has led them to that point of being the number 3 seed. And so I'm going to go with Jeanty because of the crazy numbers and for what he has led his team to. Second place, I'm really torn on this one. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter just simply because of him contributing on both sides of the ball and doing it for years. But I was a little torn because I actually have Cam Ward third as a close second, because as I said earlier, Cam Ward, he led this Hurricanes team to relevance just like Jeanty did, but he also did it with gaudy stats. And I've just really loved the progression from Cam Ward. Like, Cam Ward is the type of guy that, like, you write a Disney movie of. He starts at Incarnate Word, and then he transfers to Washington State. Then he goes to Miami, and he has a lot of success at each stop. Now he's going to go on to the NFL. I'm going with Cam Ward third, Dillon Gabriel fourth. Cam Ward got better stats. Yes, Dillon Gabriel did lead the Ducks to the number 1 seed in the nation, and they have been the number 1 team for half of the season already. But Gabriel just doesn't have the stats to me, at least in comparison to Ward. And his team is very good. And so that would indicate to me that because of how great his team is, like, yeah, running backs are talented too, but given how talented his team is, don't you think he should have better stats? That's my point there. I could be completely wrong. You're definitely more knowledgeable about college football than I am, but I'm going with Jeanty just because of the gaudy stats on top of the impact that he had on his team this year. Ashton Jeanty, he is the truth, and he's going to be the number 1 overall pick in my upcoming rookie draft in my dynasty league. And I got him as a Heisman Trophy winner. And honorable mention, Cameron Skattebo, 5th. So Toddy has Travis Hunter. I have Jeanty winning the Heisman. Any closing thoughts for our audience, Jaevon, here on episode number 127?
Yeah. I'm shocked that you guys got a home playoff game after losing to Michigan in the final game of your guys' season. And I feel like it should have been reversed. You guys should be going on the road to play against Tennessee, but instead you guys got the home game. So you guys got the benefit of the doubt there. But I'm excited for the college football playoff. I know we don't really talk a lot about college football on here, but I'm a college football junkie. Love me some college football. Gamble on it a lot. I'm excited.
Yeah, and for those of you who might have missed it, Jaevon and Kevin, joined by sister Alex, had a NBA and college football episode this past Saturday night. They talked in depth about the college football games that happened this past weekend with the conference championship games. So if you haven't already, make sure to go check that out. And we will be talking a little college football next week as well as we make our college football playoff predictions. The first ever 12-team expanded college football playoff. As an Ohio State fan, Jaevon, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I ain't mad about it. As the Buckeyes, did you see that meme that the Buckeyes account posted where they broke from the shackles?
They broke the shackles from the noon game.
Big noon
that
game.
So
that was honestly hilarious to me.
They deleted the
had
tweet,
to
though.
quickly delete that. I'm gonna be honest, Toddy. My headphones just died, and so I didn't hear anything you just said. I really apologize for that. And I'm trying to switch the audio to where I can hear you now. But
I said,
oh, there you go. I got you now. Go ahead.
I said that they deleted the tweet.
Yeah, they sure did delete the tweet. They were quick to delete that tweet, like really quick. But still, very, very good content. Shout out to the intern who posted that. But we will be back next week with another episode of Stats Over Politics to talk about Week 15 in the NFL, as well as the college football playoff. Do a preview of that next week. But with that, my headphones are dead. It's time for us to get out of here, as this has been it for another episode of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on X at Stats or Politics. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode number 127 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Jaevon, Toddy, Kaz Johnson, and Kevin Nett, I'm your host, Sean Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week on another episode of Stats Over Politics.